Hey, hi, hello, it's me, Tiana, back at it again for another video, and today we are talking about race and who gets to be black. So, I did make some notes. If you see me looking down, that's me looking at my notes as always. I do also have a ring light, which you can see in my glasses. I would take my glasses off so it's not like distracting, but then I won't be able to see my computer. Next time I record, I will either wear contacts or have my notes memorized or something like that, because I do realize it probably is distracting to see these giant circles, not only like in my eyes but in my glasses, like reflected black. But my lighting in my videos has been like kind of terrible, like kind of trash, so I wanted to include a ring light to see if I can make it better, like the quality better. I don't know, tell me if you feel like it is no difference, it's pointless, or if you find this distracting, because I really do prefer to wear glasses, but I don't know. Anyways, let's just get into the video. So I have been working on this video for a while. This video about like race and biracial people was actually supposed to be like the first video that I uploaded this year, but I got distracted by a bunch of stuff and ended up making other videos that I wanted to make, because I like to have like something going on in society before I make a video like talking about something, just so that it's like relevant to what people are already talking about, you know, to help with the algorithm and all of that. So the issue that came up that I felt was like my perfect foray into having this discussion is the Dani Leigh conversation that I saw people having. If you don't know, because I didn't, Dani Leigh is a musician, question mark, who is currently dating the baby. And she made a song that was called Redbone, in which she sung over and over off key, he love a red bone, he want a red bone, or something like that. I only listened to it once. It was terrible. And she got a bunch of pushback from people about her making this song, like praising being a red bone. And the conversation then drifted off into, why is she calling herself a red bone when she is not black? And that turned into a conversation about who is black, right? If having African ancestry is enough to make you black. People had like showed her 23andMe results that showed that she was like, I want to say like 30%-ish, had like 30% African heritage or something like that. And then this conversation of Dani Leigh, as always, when a conversation about race and who gets to be black comes up, especially I think Dani Leigh is Dominican. That brought back up the Cardi B conversation about whether or not Cardi B is black and can be considered black, because it always does. And Cardi B ended up posting pictures of her mom and her aunts, showing them to be very visibly black women, and basically saying, you know, every time y'all have this conversation, I have to prove that I'm black again, which was whatever, we'll talk more about it. So that's basically the gist of everything that was happening. I want to talk as a black person who is black with 2 black parents, 4 black grandparents, 8 black great-grandparents, I can track my blackness all the way back to slavery and beyond. Like, I am black certified, put a stamp on it, black. I even got a DNA test that also showed that I'm very much black, if you would like to see that. I did do 23andMe. It said, girl, you're a Negro. Why did you do this? And I was like, I don't know. I just wanted to see what percent of my black was white, because I am African American. And as we know, most African Americans have between 20 and 30% European heritage because of slavery. So I just wanted to see what my percent was. It was on the lower end. Negro. But anyways, so I wanted to weigh in on my thoughts about blackness. I saw Julesy years ago had did a video when she was talking specifically about whether or not Cardi B was black, and she has said that like it's purposely like muddy the lines of who is black and who is white and who is whatever, historically, because they being, you know, they want for us to be like consumed in these like divisive arguments, these spore wars about who gets to claim what, and without understanding that we kind of all are oppressed and we all have like degrees of oppression, even if you're not like Black, but you have African ancestry, or you have like you're connected to a marginalized group in some way. We all have some oppression, and we're on different levels of oppression, and we should be focused more on dismantling the system than, you know, arguing back and forth about who gets to call themselves Black. And I do agree with this in some instances, but I also feel like we have to be able to put a name for things to understand that the oppression is on a scale, and it's not just that if you are Black, you are treated a certain way, because as we all know, or we should all know, there is light skin privilege, there's biracial privilege, there are privileges to looking, you know, non-Black, that people who look Black do not have, right? So we have to understand that. We have to understand that the way that you move in the world is very much tied to your racial identity in the world that we live in. If we lived in a perfect world where you were not treated differently because of your racial identity and how you visually present, then we can have a more open and inclusive idea of who is Black. But because we don't, here are my rules for who gets to be Black. Now, I do want to preface this by saying once again that I am Black, and that means that I can say who is Black. I'm so sorry about it. If you're not Black, you don't get a say. And second, I'm one singular Black person. If other Black people consider you Black, if you have Black, you know, people in your life that consider you Black, I'm a random girl on the internet. I cannot take your Blackness away. Do not feel personally attacked by anything that I'm saying. This is how I define people as Black. If you don't fall into this definition, my definition of who is Black for whatever reason, but you still consider yourself Black, good for you. Clap, clap, clap. I have no dog in that fight. I'm not trying to like invalidate your life experience. I'm not trying to take anything from you. I do feel like if you don't fit into my category, you should not be saying the N-word. But other than that, I'm not really trying to take nothing from you, okay? So now that I give my disclaimers, let me get started. So the very first thing that I feel like you have to be Black, and I don't understand why this is like controversial to say, but like if you don't have a Black parent, you're not Black. I'm so sorry to say it. Like, I'm sorry I have to be the one to tell you, but if you don't have a Black parent, you're not Black. You're simply not Black. Like, if neither one of your parents are Black, if neither one of your parents' ID is Black, you are not Black. You just are not Black. There's no place, there's no space, there's no but what if. No, if neither one of your parents, your mother, your biological mother, and your biological father, if neither one of those two people identifies Black, you're not Black. You're just not Black. Now, that's not saying you don't have African ancestry. That's not saying that you don't have ties to Black culture. That's saying that you are not a Black person. That you cannot call yourself, that you should not, in my opinion, be calling yourself Black. And you should not, in my opinion, be saying the N-word. And you should not, in my opinion, be centering yourself in Black oppression conversations. You should not, in my opinion, be like in the forefront of like Black representation if you don't have neither one of your parents ID as a Black person. You're not Black. I'm so sorry to say. The second criteria, and these two go together, 1 and 2 go together, okay? If you don't have both of these, you're not Black. I'm sorry. The second part is if you don't visually look Black. If someone could not take a random picture of you and know that that was a Black person, you're not Black. I'm so sorry that I have to be the one to say this again. I hate that it has to be controversial, that we have to shake the table in this way. I don't really know why, but if people don't view you as a Black person when they see you, you're not Black. Because Blackness, besides the fact that it is partially your DNA, your heritage, your culture, it's also how you're perceived as a person. If you don't walk through the world with a Black experience, people aren't treating you like you're Black, if you don't, like, if you're not included in discussions of Blackness, when people are naming people who they think is Black in their life and your name don't come up, like, you're not Black. And I'm so sorry about it. Again, in my opinion, if you don't fit into those criteria, you're not Black. And like, the reason why I said those two things have to go together, because we have people who will fall into like the either or category, where someone might have a Black parent but don't visually look Black. Troen Balsario, right? Troen Balsario has a Black mother or a Creole mother, but she obviously, if you know who Troen Balsario is, I'll put a picture on the screen. She is very clearly not a Black person. Now, she could say that she was Black or biracial because she does have a Black mother, but she does not look Black. Nobody would think she is Black. When she is cast in TV shows and movies, she is cast as a white woman because she is white. On the other hand, we have Halle Berry, who I believe has a Black mother as well and a white father. Halle Berry walks through this world as a Black woman. People are not looking at her and being like, is she, what, is something going on there? No, they know automatically off rip looking at her that she is a Black woman. Bada boom, bada bang, okay? Because I see so many people being like, biracial people are not Black. And that conversation is like extremely ahistorical and really leaves out a lot of context about the biracial identity, because some biracial people are Black. And to me, I've always considered biracial as a category of Blackness and a category of whiteness. Some biracial people are Black, some biracial people are white. Like I said, with the example with Troen Balsario and Halle Berry, Troen is very obviously a white woman, but she's also biracial. Halle Berry is very obviously a Black woman, but she's also biracial. Them being considered in the same racial category is not realistic. Nobody would place them together in the same racial identity category. If you were putting pictures of people into race categories, you would not put Troen Balsario and Halle Berry in the same category, because they are not racially similar. They just aren't. Visually, they aren't. You would put the picture of Halle Berry with the Black people. You would put the picture of Troen with the white people. Now, there are some people who it's more questionable. You know, like, a lot of people feel like Rashida Jones looks like a white woman. I always thought she was Black. Like, before I even knew who she was and who her father was, she looked like a Black woman to me. But I also feel like maybe my perception of who looks Black is like more skewed because I do spend a lot of time with Black people. I have a very big Black family that I am close to. So I have, you know, cousins and you know, aunts and uncles. And my grandmother's side is very, very, very pale. So like I can look at those like very pale light-skinned people and be like, oh yeah, that looks like my aunt, or that looks like one of my cousins. So like maybe I'm just more adept at picking up Blackness or like hints of Blackness in people than other people are. But yeah, if the average person is not viewing you as a Black person, then you're not Black. And then also on the other side, like I said, with the African ancestry, some people do have like a Black grandparent. That doesn't make you Black just because you have a Black grandparent. Again, I don't know if this is controversial, but African heritage, African like DNA does not inherently make you a Black person. Again, with the conversation about Dani Leigh is not Black to me. I'm so sorry for whoever is really tied to the idea that Dani Leigh is Black, because she just simply isn't. 30% is not enough to be Black. I saw that picture of both her parents. Neither one of those people look Black. And she just simply never ID'd as a Black person until it was convenient for her to align herself with Blackness. If you weren't Black your whole life, you can't just decide that you're Black one day. You can't go your whole life IDing as whatever racial group that you are and then decide one day when it's cool that you want to be Black. That's just not how that works. I'm so sorry. You were not, because the thing is, people are racialized from birth. I knew that I was a Black person from birth. Before I even understood race and like the oppression and racism and all of that, I understood that the way that I looked was perceived differently than the way that the white kids that I went to school with were perceived. I knew physically looking at myself that I was different from the people that I was seeing on TV, from the people that I was seeing in movies. I knew that I was different from them. If you are looking at the people, if you're looking at white people and you're identifying with the way they move in the world racially, then you're white. You just are white. And it's like, I don't really know why people feel like in the year of our Lord 2021 that they just have to be black. Like people who are unquestionably black have all of a sudden feel like they have to like claim this blackness that they never cared about or never like ID'd with or never related to or never like was proud of like randomly. And it's strange to me as someone who, like I said, has always been black and racialized as black since birth and understood that and that might just be come with being darker skinned, but like y'all are weird about blackness. Like everybody doesn't get to be black, and people are not like being mean or hateful when they say that everybody is not black, because everybody is not black, and it's a specific experience that you go through as a black person. And even if you are someone who grew up in black areas, you don't receive the same socialization. Like if you're a white person who grew up in the hood around mostly black people, and you have these black scents and you know the aesthetics and all that, like you got a part of black culture. But another and crucial, important part of being black is being, like I said, racialized as black and experiencing the world with people perceiving you a certain way because you're black, having experiences that mirror that oppression, that mirror that just the way people interact with black people. Like if you've never experienced certain things because people don't perceive you as black, then you're missing out on a big chunk of what it is to be black. And I personally feel like you cannot consider yourself a black person if you don't experience the totality of what it is to be black, right? And again, that is not me being mean. That's not me being like separatist or anything like that. It's just saying that everybody is not black. Everybody is not black. Everybody with African ancestry is not black. Those are just the facts, right? Those are just the facts. I'm so sorry. I also want to just put as a little note, some of y'all are delusional. Like some of y'all are delusional about who's light-skinned. The very clear line of who is light-skinned and who's dark-skinned is the paper bag. If you are lighter than a paper bag, you are light-skinned. If you are darker than a paper bag, you are dark-skinned. Like, and you can have people who like to break down dark skin into like brown skin, or, you know, I personally feel like that it turns more into like I'm an acceptable dark, or, you know, I'm dark but I'm not that dark sort of thing, where it's like, why? Like, why do you feel like you need to separate yourself from the idea of being dark skinned? What is it about dark skin that you feel like you can't be categorized in because your skin is darker? Yes, there are people who are darker than you, but that does not mean that you are not dark skinned. Because if that was the case, then only people who would be dark skinned would be people who are like a 5490, like, and that's it. Those are the only dark skinned people. Like, it's not, I don't know what's not clicking. But this is not a video about being light skinned or being dark skinned. Also, one more aside that's like very like a little bit related is the whole conversation about who is white passing. First of all, again, y'all are being ahistorical. White passing has a definition, okay? White passing is not a visual look, it's an action. White passing is someone who is racially black, but it has decided to live as a white person. That's what it means to pass as white. People who are racially black but look white are not white passing, they're white. I'm so sorry. I know I don't want to be the one I didn't want to be the one to tell y'all that you're white, but you're white. If people look at you and say, oh, this is a white person, then you're white. Once again, you can have African ancestry. That does not make you black. If people look at you and they see a white woman, you are a white woman. If people look at you and they see a white man, you are a white man. I'm so sorry. I hate to be the one to tell you. White passing is the active act of pretending to be white when you are not white. So Black people who identify as Black or are open and upfront with their African ancestry would not be white passing, they would be white. But Black people who are living in this world as white people, but people don't know that they have African ancestry, would be white passing. But the thing about being white passing is people don't know you're white passing, because if people know that you have African ancestry, you're no longer passing. You see how that works? So I need, number one, for white people to stop using the term white passing because you don't know what you're talking about. And secondly, I need most Black people on the internet to stop using white passing because y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Like, it's just, read a book, read any book, simply any book about race and racial categories, racial castes. Like, read any book about the history of race in America and how we got to these categories of who is Black, who is white, who is biracial, and what that means and the implications of it, because y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all simply don't know what y'all talking about, and it's frustrating for me to read because on one side we have the weirdos who are trying to claim to be Black when they have very tenuous ties to Blackness. And then we have the weirdos on the other side who are trying to say that if you have even one drop of European ancestry, you're no longer Black, which is just simply it's not realistic. Because again, as I said earlier, most African Americans have between 20 and 30% European heritage because of slavery. We are all technically mixed. And that's again why I said Dani Leigh is not Black, because she has 30% African ancestry, because I'm not white because I have 21% European ancestry. Anyway, that is it. That is all. Thank you as always for watching. Once again, tell me what you think about the new lighting situation. Is it better? Is it worse? Is it the same? Does it matter? And like this video if you like this content, and please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.